After 15 grueling months of battling their employers, the dancers at Star Garden Topless Dive Bar just voted unanimously to join a union. That's right, they are unionizing. And their victory, it makes them the only unionized strip club in the country, which is quite amazing. Because almost a year ago, well, Perfect Union had interviewed the dancers to ask them why they wanted to be a union. And here's what they said.
I was fired for bringing up a safety concern about a customer. I saw red flags and I was concerned that things were accelerating in an alarming way that could lead to obsession. I saw red flags of like possessiveness.
When I brought up my concerns to the manager on duty that night, he mocked me to my face, telling me that I was going to be murdered by that customer and how I was going to be murdered by him.
It's a little bit more complicated in California with the passage of AB5, which classifies strippers as employees instead of independent contractors. Because the strip club model was not built to support an employee relationship with the owners, a lot of clubs in California as a whole have made some really shady adjustments. Like, okay, well, we'll give you minimum wage, but we're going to take 50% of your lap dances now. Or we'll give you minimum wage, but you have to pay a flat rate of $200 now to come in and work. So they're essentially compensating themselves for having to pay you minimum wage, and dancers actually end up making less money.
But they have finally achieved their goal. And let's take a look at why it really took so long for the dancers to win their union. So we have this from NPR. From March to November 2022, the strippers and their supporters picketed weekly in front of Star Garden on the North Hollywood bar's busiest nights. The results of the November union election were shelved due to employer legal challenges. Star Garden claimed that most of the individuals in the union says are eligible to vote were never employees of Star Garden, but were lessees who should not be allowed to vote. The employers also filed for bankruptcy, a move that can avoid union contracts. But this Monday, Star Garden finally backed down. In a Tuesday press release, the union announced that lawyers representing the owners of the Star Garden Topless Dive Bar had withdrawn all election challenges and agreed to recognize the union. As part of the settlement with the union, Star Garden has agreed to exit the bankruptcy, and the club will reopen within 30 to 60 days of the bankruptcy dismissal, said Ann Runda, a lawyer representing Star Garden management. According to Actors Equity president Kate Schindel, this settlement also stipulates that no security guards who worked at Star Garden previously can work at Star Garden going forward. And so yesterday, the dancers voted 17-0, joining the Actors Equity Association. One dancer said this in response: "This is not just a win for the dancers at this club, but the entire strip club industry. Strippers who want to unionize their workplaces and have voice in the way their clubs are run now have a clear path forward." Absolutely, and that's incredibly important. I had a number of friends in LA who were dancers, from Spearmint Rhino to all other places. And the thing is how you protect the girls is incredibly, incredibly important. And I even interviewed some of them for my book. And as it turned out, they felt that the best workplaces that they had ever been in were strip clubs because of security guards taking care of them, recognizing how vulnerable they can be in situations, especially if you have nudity and potential alcohol in the mix. And so knowing that these girls were in these vulnerable places without protection, and now they are gonna get to be able to play a role in it, makes me very happy.
Yeah, this is a great development. And I know what old school folks are thinking, right? They're like, oh my God, they see the headline. They're like, oh, now even strip clubs are unionizing. And for the old school folks, that might seem weird or something. But think about it, guys. As Adrian was saying, where would you need protection the most? Do you think that the strip club management community is like the top of the line in helping their employees get to the best situation they could possibly be in? My guess is they are not the top of the line, right? And there's a lot of situations where those women need to be protected, both in a physical way, but also in a financial way. I thought one of the women in the video explained how they financially abuse them perfectly, and that's a place where a union makes a ton of sense. And so when you think about it that way, and just, if you're in that old school community and you're like, this is kind of interesting, different, I wouldn't have expected it. But when you think it through, you realize, that makes a ton of sense. So congrats to those women, great job in unionizing there.
Absolutely. Before the show, I was watching a bunch of interviews with these dancers and the stories that they tell about the dangerous situations that they could get into, they clearly need the management and security to pay more attention to them. But it's interesting because you were answering a chat earlier where somebody was asking about sort of like doomerism and focusing on these problems and stuff. But if you listen to these dancers in these interviews, they are facing harsh realities about their situation and their kind of exploitative situation, and they're facing it and they're dealing with it. So I think it's great. I mean, I think that's an example of looking at the facts and then dealing with it. And I think it's a very inspirational story.
I'm very much inspired, RM, by the fact that you watched these strippers interviews, but you didn't watch the congressional FBI hearings. Like, hey, bro, I'm just here for priorities, but I couldn't not make that point. But I also will point out that my girlfriends who work at strip clubs had said it was the safest environment because their managers protected them, knowing that they are the product, that there would be no money made without them. So what Star Garden has done has shown you that there are some people who own these bars who are willing just to neglect their product entirely. And those people are the ones who definitely need that union protection. And also, like Cenk noted, with the old school mentality, the thing is they're actors, they're performers just the same. And so I give them nothing but love, especially since a lot of people come to LA to make it big and they have so many incredible dancing skills. So as far as I'm concerned, Atlanta can sit down. The strippers are second to none in LA, but that's all the love I got for that. But let me show you some quick pictures of what the dancers were doing on the picket line where they threw multiple themed nights. Yes, witches and wizards, very cool. And then they had like the babe tricks and pirate night. Oh yeah. That's how you do it. You get together, you fight. These are good things.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.